Cowboys 20, Giants 15. Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And, man, if it's a year starting in 2000-something, because the Giants lost in primetime and they lost to the Cowboys. I can't remember the last time we beat them twice. Actually, I can. It was the playoff year with Eli and Odell. Justin, the Giants lost this game. It was winnable. It was within their reach, not able to pull it out. We're going to hit this game in like a bunch of different ways. And, you know, there'll be finger pointing on like, well, look at Daniel Jones' stats, but the drops and the deep passes, right? But I think I'm just kind of resigned to this is what the Giants are right now. Like this game doesn't change anything about my thoughts about anything on the New York Giants.
No, and it's a shame because this sucks, man. This is very disappointing. You can look at it from a lot of different ways. Well, first off, that this is a vulnerable Dallas Cowboy team. This is not a Dallas Cowboy team.
Yeah, they're not very good.
This is not a Dallas Cowboy team. I mean, they could win some football games, but I think they've won 12 games over the last 3 years. This is a vulnerable Dallas Cowboy team that, coming into tonight, could not run the ball. They only have 1 to 2 good options on offense, if you include Jake Ferguson as a good one. But they're basically CeeDee Lamb or bust. Their defense was banged up.
They had Amani Oruwariye playing a corner for them.
Their secondary players were dropping like flies. Their defensive players were dropping like flies during this game. This was a vulnerable Cowboy team, and the Giants did not take advantage of it. They scored 15 points. They had 26 rushing yards when they had the worst rushing defense in the NFL coming into tonight. The Giants have a quarterback who does some things well, but cannot throw a deep ball to save his life in the year of 2024. And officials are calling, face mask penalties on the wrong team. Instead of it being a first and 10 at the 30-yard line, it's a 1st and 25. So, you can look at this game from a lot of different angles. Brian Daboll should go for it on 4th down. Daniel Jones can't throw a deep ball. Giants had 26 rushing yards against the worst rushing defense in the NFL. Our receivers, which is the strength of this team, are dropping the football in clutch moments and clutch times. I mean, I think you point the finger at everything in this game. It's not just one thing. It's all these things that I just brought up, and that's why the Giants lost this game. And guess what? That's a lot of different reasons for the Giants to lose a game. They're not good enough to even overcome 1 or 2 of those things, let alone 5 of the things I just mentioned.
Yeah, and those are all reasons why they lost this game. But I think as the Giants get through this season, we'll see where people are by the end of it, GM, coach, all that stuff. But this offense is back to playing basically the exact same way they did in 2022, with a little less play action, where it is low average depth of target, quick throws, relying on Yak with a little more juice, right? Where you have Malik Nabers, where you can force feed this Malik Nabers guy, and he's really freaking good. So there's going to be a little more in that. Wan'Dale Robinson is in year 3 and better than what Richie James was that year. And I have a Wan'Dale Robinson 3rd down stat. Not even just a stat, just like what happened, that thing is actually pretty shocking. But that's why it's frustrating, is not because in 2022 it made sense, right? You had a good running game. You
had a compromised offensive line.
You had a suspect offensive line. You had one deep wide receiver in Darius Slayton, and we're not talking about like this, he's a good deep wide receiver, but he's not like the best in the NFL or like a true wide receiver. He wasn't even a wide receiver 1. Now they can protect, right? Now they do have 3 guys who can, threaten you down the field in Nabers, Slayton, and Hyatt. One who's like legitimately great at, running down the field. Another one who's a great wide receiver, Malik Nabers, and then Slayton, who's a complete player, despite the fact that he dropped a pass on 3rd down, tonight. And then you have Wan'Dale Robinson for the underneath stuff, on 3rd down. And they just, everything is short of the sticks. It's low average depth of target. It's not sitting back in the pocket and letting stuff develop. And unless you're, trying to force the ball to Malik Nabers, and Daniel Jones just can't hit the deep pass, right? I don't know if you want to blame it on post neck or whatever. He just cannot hit the deep pass, right? That hasn't been the issue in his career. The issue in his career is the willingness to pull the trigger on it. But right now, he's actually throwing it deep 9% of the time, which is not high, but it's higher than what he has been the last few years. But he's only completed 3 of 15, right? And one was the Malik Nabers, hitch and go today where he had no one within 20 yards. One was, the Malik Nabers ripped the ball out of someone's hand last week. And then one was like a dig route that was like exactly 20 yards in week 1. So you're completing 20% of them and you're losing points. So like this offense can't afford to have mistakes is basically the way it is. The same way it was in 2022, but that shouldn't be the way they're playing.
They can't afford to have mistakes, and they had how many of them? Where Jones is missing throws, Wando, we're dropping footballs. The penalty, and what sucked, this may have been another 20 air yard throw that would have been completed. The Tyron Tracy throw on the sideline where you have 2 players going in motion at the same time, so that's a penalty. So that play is called back, and that's taken off the board. I think that would have put the Giants inside the 5-yard line, right?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if he got 2 feet down. They didn't replay it on TV or anything. Because one ref even called out of bounds, but they weren't set. The frustrating part about that wasn't even just that the penalty, but that was a change off of that wave concept. The play they run so much where the running back is outside, he runs a 5-yard hitch. And they ran a double move off of it, and now that's on film, and it gets wasted. So yeah, they just couldn't. DJ can't hit the ball, can't hit them downfield, right? Even the free play where Darius Slayton's wide ass open can't do that. And
I'll tell you, you're not gonna play this like a defense like the Dallas Cowboy defense every week, where there was an opportunity today where even though they had more 15+ yard plays against the Cowboys, I don't know if they had more 20+ yard plays, but they certainly had a lot more 15+ yards. I'd be willing to venture that they did, because I don't think the Cowboys had a 15 or 20+ yard play in the second half. So this was a game where the Giants were more explosive than the Dallas Cowboys, but dude, there's so many opportunities that are left on the table, and it's quarterback. It's quarterback driven, man.
Yeah, and they're playing they're not hitting the ones that are there, and they're playing this low average depth of target because of their quarterback. It's not because of their offensive line. It's not because of their receivers. It's because of their quarterback. So it's just you kind of have to just get through this year. Now, the good news is that DJ doesn't look awful or anything, right? I'm not coming away from this game like DJ stinks, right? I'm talking about he's limited. He's limited in what he can do. But you want to know what
sucks about that, though?
He's not completely broken. But this is, I am glad, because I was worried that coming off the injury, it would be really, really bad, and we'd have to play fucking Drew Lock, who's awful. I was worried about that coming into this year, so I'm relieved in that.
But you want to know what sucks? I get your point. Bobby, but it's driving me fucking crazy kind of hearing it, because we're 1-3, and this is even with Daniel Jones not being god awful, damn it, this team should be 2-2. Or damn it, this team should be 3-1. And shoulda, coulda, woulda, wham. I
don't think they should.
I'm a fan of this team, and they are a couple plays away from being 3-1. And we could have been saying this in spite of Daniel Jones. Oh, Daniel Jones doesn't look too bad, and then that's kind of just a footnote. So it's really frustrating, man. I'm frustrated. So.
Yeah. I mean, I am too. Now the receivers dropping passes is a problem, though. It's not just this game. DJ had the second most drops in the NFL coming into this week. I don't think he'll probably still be second, but that is an issue. But here's a stat that was crazy, because I went back and watched this, because I'm like, how many? Because Wandale had a lot of third down catches. How many were past the sticks?
Oh, none of them are. None of them are.
No, not even a single one. So I went back and looked at this. And
are you talking about from today's game or just in the season?
Today's game.
Okay.
He caught 8 passes for 50 yards on 9 targets on third down against the Cowboys. Right? That's good, right?
And how many catches? So he had 8 catches on third down. How many catches did he have overall?
10 catches overall. But okay. 8 catches for 50 yards on 9 targets. So that's crazy. I mean, that's really good, right? Despite that high catch rate, they only converted 2 of those 9 third downs. Only 2. And both of those conversions were caught 4 yards behind the first down marker. And then the one that wasn't completed was the drop. That was short of the first down marker.
Yeah. They were 3 for 4 on fourth down, and I think 1 or 2 of those they might have went for it on fourth down and then got it. For Wan'Dale.
Sure, but they still, every single Wan'Dale third down catch was behind the sticks. Every single one.
And also here's the other side of that, Bobby, is that they had 26 rushing yards. 26 little pathetic rushing yards against a terrible Dallas. I mean, they didn't look terrible today. They looked like they came ready to fucking play. Mozzie Smith, career game. Where did that come from? Going from one of the league's worst interior defensive linemen to having a career game against the Giants, go figure. A terrible run defense. Came ready to play. And they got a lot better with it in the second half. So I'll give Brian Daboll that. I'll give Daniel Jones that. But that first half was nauseating. First down, second down, third down, first down. First down, second down, third down, first down. I'm like, you know it's legal to get a first down on first or second down. And it first down, second down, third down. So the symptom of, or I guess the cause of why Wan'Dale Robinson is having these behind the sticks targets on third down is because the early down efficiency for the New York Giants is a constant conversation of how bad it is. How bad it is. And this was a game, because you're facing this Dallas Cowboy defense, that it should not have been terrible. Should not have been. 26 yards, rushing yards.
And this is where I got a little frustrated last week versus Cleveland. It's like, you have so much success. Like, the duo thing has become like a, duo to death has been a little bit of like a running joke on the show. But they need to find that, like, stick to that identity. They didn't run that. They tried to run zone read. Like, they're not good at running zone as a rushing team. They're not good at it. Their offensive linemen aren't the ass kickers or overly athletic to run them. That's not what they are. What they need to do is run duo, and they didn't. Now the Cowboys know how bad their run defense is, and they changed it. They stacked the ball quite a bit. I don't like using I didn't have time to count the boxes every time, but they had like 4-4 fronts at times.
Yeah, I mean, I was using my eye test. Whenever the Giants were loading the box, whenever the Giants put Jakob Johnson on the field, the Cowboys had 7 or 8 guys in the box. I could tell you that right now. I was counting it.
Yeah, but I'm saying, did they have 7 versus 7 or 8 versus 7?
The Giants did not have a numbers advantage today running the ball. They did not. And that's why on the preview pod, and I'll give myself a little credit here, on the preview pod, I wanted them to run it out of 11 because get yourself a numbers advantage. The best friend that the Dallas Cowboys had in terms of facing the run today was one of their fighting chances is, hey, let's at least get a numbers advantage. If we're still getting our ass kicked when we don't even have a numbers advantage, then we're in big trouble. But they did their part. They had a numbers advantage. Dare the Giants to throw the ball out of those heavy formations. They did at times with certain play action plays, and that was awesome. But I wanted them to run it more out of 11 personnel, put Chris Manhertz on the field, running out of 11, and I don't think we saw it. We saw some zone read plays with Daniel Jones, like the zone option, those option stuff where he would keep it, and that was successful on some third and shorts, but that was basically it. They did not run it out of 11, and they did not try to win the numbers game in terms of advantages by running the ball.
Yes, I mean, so one thing I'm going to chart when I go through the film is how much duo are they running, because that's what they had success for against the Commanders. And they didn't have success running zone in week 1. They didn't have it in week 3. I don't understand why they're not trying to make the identity of the team being, taking care of the front of the defensive line. But yeah, you just can't have that type of running game, especially versus this Cowboys run defense. And also Singletary, I know it wasn't he was down, but hold on to the fucking football, man. It's driving me insane.
Dude. Bobby, I hate to cut you off. We got to talk about something really quick. We got to talk about something because we have a lot of things we have to talk about in this episode. And I kind of like that we're not going directly in order this episode. We're kind of just dumping our feelings out there. And part of dumping the feelings out there is with AG1, because I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I'm not going to feel great. You already hear my voice, a little raspy. I'm going to be tired, but I'm going to start my day off right with AG1. And today's episode of Talking Giants is brought to you by AG1. It's a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support, and it's backed by multiple research studies, so you can trust what you're putting into my body. You know, I had a tailgate. Yeah, I was at a tailgate. I'm putting soda in my body. I'm putting bad stuff in my body, but I'm going to start off my morning right, my Friday morning off right, by putting some AG1 in my body. I know that I'm doing one good thing for my body every day. When I start my day with AG1, it's gut supporting health ingredients to support your digestion, reduce bloating, and I am also noticing less gas and bloating after as well. So start with AG1 and notice the difference for yourself. It's a great first step in investing in your health, and that's why we're excited to be partnering with them. Try AG1 and get a free bottle of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/Giants. That's a $48 value for free if you go to drinkag1.com/Giants. Check it out. You'll be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. I want to say this with the drops thing too, because Slayton had the one on third down, Wan'Dale on third down. Why are we just assuming they score touchdowns if they convert those first downs? Because they didn't throw the ball into the end zone one time, right? They would
no.
It's not that they just didn't score a touchdown. They did not throw the ball into the end zone one time. And this is where I'm going to talk about the whole Brian Daboll go for it on fourth down when they kicked the field goal to make it 14-12. Because even though I probably would have liked to go for it there anyways, I don't think kicking the field goal there is the worst decision in the world. Even though I disagree with it, the main reason I disagree with it is you're asking your defense to make another stop, which is a really bad ask. And if you're going to ask them to make another stop, why not make them do it from go on a 96-yard drive, which is what they would have.
Versus a 70-yard drive. And I'll tell you what, the touchback rules changed some shit, man. Where the Brandon Aubrey, where it was like a 60-yard field goal. What was that, like a 28-yard drive? Cowboys went 28 yards, and that's not a long drive. But because of the new kickoff rule, and then the Giants are choosing to, and I think Brian Daboll gave a lot of respect to, who do they have returning kicks? They're the backup receiver behind Tolbert. Turpin. So Brian Daboll, I was listening to on the radio coming home, and Brian Daboll apparently gave Turpin a lot of compliments as a returner, so they didn't want to kick it to Turpin. Okay, fine. But if you're giving them the ball at the 30-yard line, a 28-yard drive, I think that's a 60-yard field goal, and Brandon Aubrey's a weapon, so that's 3 easy points for the Dallas Cowboys. So kickoff, the touchback rules kind of changed some shit where, maybe you're thinking twice about situations where you want to go for it on fourth down, and it's better to, instead of giving the team the ball at the 30-yard line and taking 3 points, it's better to have them ask an opposing offense to drive 96 yards down the field.
Yeah, but this is where I'll say I get frustrated that if you knew you were going to kick the field goal in that situation, why would on second and goal from the 10-yard line you run the ball? One.
Yeah, that was bad.
Then on the third down play, you're motioning Wan'Dale from behind the quarterback, and Nabers is running a stick route, which is short of the end zone, and then you're throwing the ball to Wan'Dale, who's coming out of the backfield.
Yeah.
Right, so you're not designing a play that's going into the end zone or looking to put a end zone defender in conflict. You're praying to God they defend this badly, and Wan'Dale Robinson can get yak, or they just don't cover Malik Nabers, which they're going to. Right, and Malik Nabers even pointed to throw to Wan'Dale. They got me covered on this. Yeah. So that's what drives me nuts. It's not just the fact that they kicked the field goal, which I do disagree with doing anyways, but the fact that they ran plays like they were going to go for it on fourth down, which I'm not the fan of having that mindset either. When you're at I still think you should be throwing the ball in the end zone or trying to, at least with having check down options there. But that's what frustrates me from that, because take a shot. You didn't even take a shot. You took no chance there, and then you're still, you go from being down 5 to down 2.
Right. I want the record to show, and this is me as a reactionary, and I saw this in the stands. So Bobby, I want you to watch this on film, and we'll revisit this for. We will have a mailbag pod next week, so we'll revisit this for the mailbag pod. I think Daniel Jones needs to pull the trigger faster to Wan'Dale Robinson there. I think if he pulls the trigger faster, I think Wan'Dale Robinson maybe beats Overshown to the sticks or to the pylon. It would have been a touchdown. So that's my running theory right now. Let me know if that's true on the film review or not.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you right now, but I guess I'll check in on that.
You know, because I sit up high, so I have that all 22. I'm like, I think he should pull the trigger faster there. So,
but I mean, they were around the one down there. So that's just, frustrating where you are from the offense. Like, yeah, the drops can't happen, and anytime Slayton drops a pass, it's like, son of a fucking bitch, dude. Yep. It's like, last year,
and of course he's got to do it on national television too. Again.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is I'm not treating these drops like the 2021 Commanders game drop, because it's like they catch those passes. You're not guaranteeing me a touchdown, and they didn't even throw the ball into the red zone or into the end zone one time this game. Yeah. So you're not guaranteeing me a touchdown.
It's chances. It's more chances.
Yeah, obviously it helps your chances, but the Giants are trying to play mistake-free football. And guess what? You usually don't play mistake-free football. It's hard to win consistently that way. It's hard to have a consistently good offense when you have to play mistake-free football. And defenses aren't playing you that way either, by the way.
The drive that really did hurt was the drive that we just talked about, where second and goal from the 10, and you're running the ball, and then third down. Because that was to open the second half, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure, right?
No, that was at the end of the... I think that might have even been in the fourth quarter.
What was the drive to open up the second half? The drive to open up the
you're right.
second...
That was the drive to open up the second half. You're right.
Yeah, the 12-play, 77-yard drive that resulted in a field goal, 22-yard field goal. So I was right. And that drive, I'm pretty sure, didn't feature a third down. So I mentioned the criticism in the first half about first down, second down, third down, first down, second down, third down. That drive to start the second half, they kicked ass.
Oh, that was DJ's best drive of the game.
Yes, and it was not. They didn't face third down once until that third and goal, and then lo and behold, they can't punch it in. So that drive really hurt. That hurt.
Yeah, that was DJ's best drive of the game by far. Right, yeah. He had the dig route to Darius Slayton, a nice shot to Nabers in there. So offensively, it's a shame this Giants offensive line can actually just protect for the first time ever, and we're 1-3. Like this offensive Andrew Thomas, I don't know what the total tally ended up at, but he had at one point in the fourth quarter, he had 14 matchups with Micah Parsons and only allowed one pressure. So it was a good we just played the Dallas Cowboys, and how much did you hear from Micah Parsons, right? He wasn't a difference maker in this game. He had some plays, but who played better, Kayvon Thibodeau or Micah Parsons, right? You can make the argument that Kayvon had more impact on the game than Micah Parsons in this, and Micah Parsons is unreal. But this offensive line, they work together as a unit. They protect. They're not a good zone running offense, which I'm going to freaking pound into the dirt and see how much of it was that this last week. But this offensive line can really give you time, right? When's the last time we went through 4 games of a season and you're like, you know what? I'm not worried about the offensive line.
Not in our history of you and I yapping together.
Yeah, they just don't allow sacks. They had 1 sack today, which was a coverage sack. They had 1 sack last week, which was DJ's fault. They had 2 sacks versus the Commanders. I can't remember who was to blame. Runyon gave up 1. And the Vikings DJ was represented for 3 when they gave up 5 sacks. So it's a damn shame. Yeah. Justin, I want to talk to you about something. And that something is DraftKings. Yeah, put the logo on the screen now. I got the logo on the screen, in my screen. A chill is in the air, leaves falling to the ground, and football every weekend. That's what it's all about. Or racing. I wish I was doing a NASCAR pod instead of Giants pod right now. You can make each weekend even more exciting by getting into the action with our partners at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet on touchdowns. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5 will instantly get $200 in bonus bets when you use code WORLD. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns on DraftKings. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code WORLD and bet just $5 in any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code WORLD only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You'll be glad you did. I mean, is there anything else you want to clean up on the offense?
The whole stadium knows the ball's going Malik Nabers' way, and
I don't
He
care
just
about that. I'm happy about that.
He just
Yeah,
comes
we didn't
through.
talk about Malik Nabers.
We didn't. I mean, also he was not. I don't. Are people criticizing him for dropping that ball when he was literally knocked fucking unconscious?
I mean, maybe a couple people, but
I mean, he was. I got a text from my buddy. He was like a physical trainer, but I'm like, I don't know if that was just something that he caught with his eye, but I also think it would be obvious. Malik Nabers got a concussion and he knocked himself out. That was apparent, right?
no, because they didn't talk about it on TV. They
Right,
just
well,
were showing the replay of the drop.
My buddy who has spent the last 12 years of medical school said that Malik Nabers
He's a Twitter doctor.
No, he actually is like he's not a medical doctor.
I know, just
but he
fucking with
spent
you.
12 years of medical school. He's like, he had a concussion. He's had a concussion and he was knocked the fuck out.
Yeah,
So-
he has a concussion. That's what, that was confirmed. He put on his Instagram story. He's like, I'm good, y'all. Thanks for the prayers. With his face like this.
Yeah. Wanda Robinson has to catch the ball. Darius Slayton has to catch the ball. That's
Yeah.
what's the.
Wandale
that's
also
what's
had a
catch
drop down in the red zone too that gets forgotten. The one
Right.
that they ran the other way.
And I will say this too. I know Brian. I know saying this isn't going to be sexy, and a lot of people may roll their eyes at me, but I think it's very true. Maybe besides the fourth down decisions, dude, I think Brian Daboll called a hell of a game. I think he called a hell of a football game, considering that they tried to run the ball and they abandoned it. To their credit, they abandoned it. It's like, all right, this isn't working. We're not going to force it. I maybe would have liked them to run out of 11 personnel more, but for a quarterback that cannot complete a deep pass, the way that he's scheming guys open, I mean, Malik Nabers is just awesome, but the way that this offense is Wandale Robinson and Malik Nabers, and it's continuing to look better. They're not, obviously you want them to score touchdowns, you want them to execute better in the red zone, but Brian Daboll, get him a good quarterback, man. Get him a quarterback that can throw the football down the field, and I'm still confident that he can coach this fucking football team.
Yeah. I mean, I got to really watch it, but I saw some good stuff, right? Like tendency breakers, right? Like the Tyrone Tracy play, even though it doesn't count, like that's a great play caller there, right? Like teams are getting a little lulled to sleep on that outside hitch, run a hitch and go on it, right? Getting a hitch and go on third down for Nabers, right? When that's been a go-to play call for them. So there's things I like about Daboll. Now there's other things I didn't like about, things they've gotten away from. The run game, was my biggest worry about him when they hired him is
Right.
he's like, he's versatile in what he runs, but he also doesn't have an identity as a rushing offense, right? Like I'm so excited to go through the film. Like, all right, how many times do they run duo? Because they need to run this specific run call. I know it's going to get it is like the duo, the Jets thing is a joke, but it's serious. It's very serious. Like that's what they should do. But yeah, I mean, Daboll's a good offensive coach. And he's built this offense around Daniel Jones once again after trying to make it around the wide receivers and then DJ not being able to do it, unfortunately. Let's talk about the defense. Holding this Cowboys offense, I don't care how flawed they are, is pretty impressive for Shane Bowen with the talent that he's given. Like everyone was giving Shane Bowen flowers after the Browns game, and I'm happy that he changed up his approach. But the Browns are legitimately the worst offense in football. Like they're so bad. Their offensive line was totally torn up. Deshaun Watson's the worst starting QB in the NFL now that Bryce Young is out. They didn't allow anyone else besides CeeDee Lamb to beat them. Like their run game wasn't good. Dak wasn't. They were 3 for 10 on third down. They really didn't allow anyone else to beat them outside of CeeDee Lamb, and we'll talk about that with Deonte Banks. I actually think this defense did its job considering what the talent level is. Now, there's players I'm not happy with. That's Deonte Banks. That's Brian Burns. But I mean, they had Cordell Flott and Nick McLeod starting at corner. I'm happy with a defensive performance where you hold Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb to 20 points.
I'm shocked to see that they only averaged 3.5 yards on the ground, and Dowdle 4.2, Zeke 3.8. It felt like they had more success, so I'm glad to see
did?
that. From the stadium, it did. There are certain. I was also expecting anytime the Cowboys to run the ball, I was like, we shouldn't allow anything, and maybe that was that was my feeling at the stadium, and I'm glad to see that the numbers I'm glad to see that the numbers, 3.5 yards per carry, 23 attempts, 80 yards. That's not a good day on the ground for the Dallas Cowboys. So, yeah, man.
Especially considering how bad the Giants' run defense has been.
The only thing that sucks is, like, dude, Deonte Banks on that first third down, physical against CeeDee Lamb, awesome. Love to see it. Cordell Flott, he had 2 pass deflections this game, and he makes some good plays, but then there are other plays where, all right, that's a bad Cordell Flott play, and it's a 12-yard, 13-yard gain on a third down, and it goes for a first down. It's the little inconsistencies, but overall, if you were to tell me that the Giants are going to allow less than 300 yards to the Dallas Cowboys offense and not force a turnover, I would be like, yeah, that's a pretty damn good successful day. And also only allow 20 points.
Considering what the talent is, like a Flott, did Flott have some bad moments? Absolutely, but for
what good ones too.
Flott is, like, he had some good moments too. I like Nick McLeod at nickel corner. I wish they would have went with that lineup week 1 instead of what they did.
What they did all of training camp, right?
Yeah, that's again a head scratcher. Nick McLeod in the nickel for the run game. Let's talk about Deonte Banks, because it's been a bad season for him. And hey, guess what? It's tough to cover Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb.
Yep.
Here's what I'm going to say I'm the most pissed off about. Jogging after CeeDee Lamb, on CeeDee Lamb's touchdown, he starts jogging with like 25 yards to go in that. Just gives up on it. I don't like that. If Deonte Banks is just not a cornerback 1, do you say bust in your mind? I don't. I think he's going to be a good cornerback 2 in the NFL. I think he could. There's still time for him to develop and set cornerback 1, but he is far from a cornerback 1 now. But I also don't think the 24th pick in the draft, if he's a good cornerback 2, like a really good one, is a bust. But his ball skills stink. Like that's the thing. That's like I don't see how much of that gets better. But like I hate to pull examples from the same team, but I could see him having an Adoree Jackson career path, where, hey, it may not be the best early on, but you end up being a pretty damn good corner. You're not someone who, gets interceptions and shit, but you're a pretty damn good corner. Best fit as a cornerback 2. You can be a cornerback 1 at, the years 4 through 6 in your career. But he's not a cornerback 1.
I even just thought of somebody who had his best years off the Giants, and it took him a hot second too to get good. I thought of Prince Amukamara, who was a cornerback that was taken in the back of round 1, and then he started to play his best football with the Chicago Bears after he was with the New York Giants. So I thought of him too. See, I mean, bust is a very strong word.
Yeah, he's not a bust.
I don't think Deonte Banks is a bad football player, but that's the thing with cornerbacks, where you can be in such a great spot. And we've been talking about this with Deonte Banks over and over again. This has been the story throughout the entire summer. If you've been listening to us, you're tired of us saying this, but it's the truth. I wish I could find a different talking point, but this is the truth with Deonte Banks since training camp. You could be in such a great spot to make a good play on a football if you're a corner, but if you don't make that play on a football and you allow a 30-yard gain, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good coverage you had on a play. You allowed a 30-yard play. You allowed a 50-yard touchdown to CeeDee Lamb, and then you jogged and you watched him, and he taunted you, laughed at you as he ran right by you and Tyler Nubin.
Yeah, he's just not a cornerback 1, and I don't see him becoming one anytime soon. And I think we saw that last year when he was asked to have that responsibility, didn't do as good of a job. So that's where we are with Deonte Banks. Like, he's not a cornerback 1. He's going to be forced to be it on this team this year, so it's going to be a rough year, and cornerback should be a need for them. I think what it really hurts for is kind of what we said on draft night. It's not the fact that you took Deonte Banks 24th in the draft. It's that you traded up for him with Joey Porter Jr. still on the board.
Yeah.
So
Joey Porter Jr. is pretty good.
You can argue Joey Porter Jr. He's not a cornerback 1, but guess what? I think he's done a lot better job than what Deonte Banks has done in the NFL. But so you traded up with both those guys on the board. That's where I get a little frustrated, right? Like this next conversation about a guy who's like, it's not his fault, Brian Burns, right? Like, we need Brian Burns to do more than what he's doing now. But guess what, Justin? This is who Brian Burns is. You'll see. We'll go back through the film. You'll see some good plays. He is not a dominant edge. Never has been. And he's going to be asked to do that, though, because the Giants traded a second and a fifth round pick for him, paid him $30+ million. And it's like, okay, now you're expected to be more than what you've been in your entire career, right? Like, I hate fucking circling back on some of the shit we said, when acquisitions were made in the draft or trade with, Banks and Burns, but this is what Brian Burns is. Like, I went back and watched him specifically in this game, and I'm like, yeah, there's some flash plays in here, but he's not like a top 15 edge in the NFL.
He's not an impact player.
Well, he is an impact player, but he's just not a dominant player. He's not what you. He's a really good player. He's not this dominant player. He is an impact player. There's going to be games where we're coming away. It's like, oh, okay, Brian Burns, 2.5 sacks.
Okay, but these are the games that we need Brian Burns to show up. These are the games.
But that's what Brian Burns has never been. But he's an impact player. You can't say he's not an impact player, but
I'm glad you could be an impact player when you have a guard playing tackle against the Browns.
Okay, but now you're going a little too far. I mean, Brian Burns has had success in his NFL career. Like, we're not basing his career off of nothing or a first round draft status. But he has been a flawed player, but he's not consistent enough. And that's like, I'm not expecting the Brian Burns to really develop into much more than that. I think he's a winning player. I think he's someone who contributes to winning, and you find a team that's winning games. You're like, hey, that's one of our big pieces in doing it. But he's not going to be someone that you just like fear going up against. You're going to go up against him like that's a matchup we got to take care of. We can maybe chip and help, but like the Cowboys didn't do that to him, and they handled him pretty well.
Yeah, there was one. I saw one play, and I'm not saying this happened consistently. There was one play in the second half where I saw they double chipped him, but that was it. And he was close on some plays, but close doesn't get you anywhere. Close doesn't help you win football games against the Dallas Cowboys when you need them. So,
why don't you talk to us about something?
I'll talk to us about something. I'll talk to you about Captain Morgan, and this episode is brought to you by Captain Morgan, the official spice rum sponsor of the NFL. Captain Morgan, L16 tailgates every single week. Not even before they were even sponsors of L16. That's how you know that they're good, and that's how you know that we love them. This NFL season, you need the right players in the game, and sometimes you got to spice things up. Same goes for your drinks. We know that at the L16 tailgate. When it gets bland, try Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum. Delicious, crisp, perfect for game day with friends. Spice it up. Nikki Snacks, Joey, the crew, they all know it. George, they all know that they got to do it. Tony Marie loves some Captain Morgan. All of our friends at L16. We do it every single week. They've been doing it for years. Visit CaptainMorgan.com to find Captain near you. Please drink responsibly. Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum, 35% alcohol by volume. Captain Morgan Rum Company in New York, New York. You'll be glad you did. If we don't get a chance to talk about the tailgate was awesome. Thank you to everybody that came out. Hopefully we talk about it at the end, but it was a great time, and there was a great energy about going in there and beating the Cowboys and how we had a chance to do it, and I felt that energy. Everybody felt it. Everybody wanted it, and tailgate was awesome.
Hey, Thanksgiving, that game's winnable. That's the positive spin from this. I mean, there's really not much more. Like McFadden missing the tackle on that screen touchdown really hurts. That was a second and goal from the 15. If he makes that tackle, it's third and goal from the 8.
There also was what was the whole explanation that they gave for?
They thought there was an illegal man downfield, but there wasn't an illegal man.
But there also was an offensive player that was holding some. I think it was Flott, holding Flop in the back of their jersey.
I didn't see that.
I saw holding.
Here's the thing: is the Cowboys got penalized a lot, right? Like, so I know there was some bad calls on the Giants, but. And now you didn't get to hear Al Michaels. Al Michaels was like ready to shoot somebody for. I've never seen I've never seen an announcer just so disgusted with the refs. Basically, be like, "Are we ever?"
Well, it was terrible. It was terrible. They literally called a personal foul penalty on the wrong team. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's insane. But at the same time, the Cowboys had 11 penalties for 89 yards. The Giants had 4 for 35. Like the Cowboys had penalties that put them behind, and they were able to recover for the most part. Now they weren't at some that they weren't, but I'm not gonna that call is like someone should pay for that. That I agree with that, but results wise, at the end of the day, I think the Cowboys were hurt more by penalties than the New York Giants were. I mean, the Giants had the 4 for 35. The bullshit one on Bellinger. The Tracy one, that was a legitimate one. And I can't remember what the other two were. So I mean that's where the Giants are at. But yeah, McFadden's got to make that tackle. That really sucks to lose them on that. I mean, where do you see the Giants going from here?
Well, they're going to Seattle next Sunday. We have a watch party, by the way. Surprise! We'll talk about that more. They're going to Seattle. That's my answer.
Seattle's gonna be might be a tougher matchup than Dallas.
Yeah. This is a compromised Dallas team that we just played.
So the wheels have not fallen off for this team. They still can. But, considering where things felt like after the week 1 game, and then you lose the week 2 to the Commanders, and there's, questionable coaching stuff, I do think they've steadied the ship a bit. Especially like GMs don't get much more heat during the season. It's the head coaches who always get the heat during the season. I think Brian Daboll's taken a bit off of him. But, if they keep losing games, you mentioned, they have the Seahawks, like that's a tough matchup, right?
Yep.
That's a game that's going to be hard to win. You get the Bengals after that. I know the Bengals aren't very good, but neither are the Giants. The Eagles after that, the Steelers, and then you face the Commanders again. It's be a really rough stretch for the Giants, and it's going to be on them to keep everything afloat. But we'll see how it goes. Justin, before we get out of here, I want to talk to you about Pickett. Today's episode is brought to you by Pickett. Pickett is a free bet tracker that allows you to see all your bets in one place. The app tells you which teams, players, and bet types you're most profitable. Pickett made me realize that I never hit on the Giants. You can also see your friends' bets and mine. How about that? If you want to go to the app, you can see my bets. You could also see people like Jake's. You guys know Jake. Good old Jake. That was the name of my fake ID. On the app and my dog's name. On the app to easily tail or fade us. Pickett is great as a great way to track what sports players you're up or down on. Guess what? It's not like Kenny Pickett. It's actually good. The historical context Pickett provides is invaluable. Download Pickett now with code JOHNBOY to get $3 or $100 sent directly to your PayPal or Venmo. Either scan the QR code on the screen or head to pikkit.com today. So if you have a hard time, remembering how it's spelled, remember it's spelled good like Pickett, not bad like Kenny Pickett. You'll be glad you did. All right, Justin, that's an episode.
What's the schedule?
We'll be back next Tuesday for a mailbag. Now I'll have a O-line report and film review. I'm going to try and get those out tomorrow, on Friday and then over the weekend. So maybe one will come out Monday, one on Saturday. We'll see how that goes. So we'll have a mailbag out on Tuesday and then your regular Friday preview pod. And then we'll have a watch party against the Seattle Seahawks. How'd the tailgate do today?
Yeah, dude, tailgate was awesome. Energy was great. Candlewick Diner, thank you so much for providing food. Manny texted me after I saw Manny leaving in his car after the game, so I talked to him a little bit, and then he texted me when I put the car in park. I got a text message from Manny saying I'm gutted. So Manny's a Giants fan just like we are. So go to the Candlewick Diner, tell him that we sent you. But they cater the food. I think they're going to be catering for the Sunday night game as well against the Bengals. So if you want to check, the tickets, the link to the tailgate tickets are in the description. I always have trouble saying that. A lot of people were there. A couple from Scotland gave me a bottle of scotch, which was awesome. And I think it's like a really nice bottle of scotch. So thank you very much. Energy was high, man. Vibes were good. People were excited. People want a winning football team. We're ready for a winning football team. And not happening. Not happening. Not yet.
Watch party next week.
Watch party next week.
Great. Will be great once again. Check it out.
Here's the bonus. Here's the bonus. And maybe we can put Jeff, if we could put that link in the description as well. The bonus of this watch party is we will not be streaming the game. So we're hanging out with everybody. We're hanging out with everybody. We're going to hang out with you. We'll watch the Giants do whatever they're going to do in New York City. I do not have any details on the top of my head with anything. If you really want to find out, you have to click the link in the description for the tickets to the watch party.
Yeah, and you come early and watch the 1 o'clock games with us. So
we will be doing that too. So the Giants game's at 4 because we're playing Seattle. We will be watching the early slate of games too. So you spend the whole day with us.
As we kick the shit out of Leonard Williams and Julian Love. So we'll see you then.
No.
Until then, let's go Big Blue.